a suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. It is the Monday before Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody that's out there. We got big stuff happening today and all of this week. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow and Wednesday, it's the Festival of Toys. And we're going to keep talking about the toys in December, but this is the big where we show a lot of the toys from the toy guide that are our favorites. Not all of them, but most of them we get to show you. And, you know, I just love it. I love playing with toys. I love giving toys. I love seeing what can happen when anybody gets a good toy that makes their heart sing and makes their imagination fly. So I absolutely love that. We hope that you'll tune in tomorrow and Wednesday. They're different shows. Tomorrow is baby, toddler, and preschool. And then on Wednesday, it will be all the other age groups. So pretty, including caregivers. We show one gift that for caregivers. But, you know, you can visit the toy guide now and look at everything. You can actually be ordering stuff directly. There are buttons there. And for our favorite toys, you can click on the watch video and you can see me demo the toy. Or you can tune in tomorrow and Wednesday. Or all of the above, right? So check that out. Go to autismnetwork.com. Thank you, Chris. Autismnetwork.com is where you'll find the toy guide. You can also look at last year's toy guide, and I believe you can look at the toy guide the year before and maybe even the one before that. But definitely check out this year because we spent some time on it, and I'm very proud of it. But anyway, today what we're going to be talking about during today's live show, and we are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, so please feel free to write in. We love to know where you're watching from and what you got going on. And we're doing a parent-to-parent today because, I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking about a lot of stuff comes up on my memory feed on Facebook right now, and it was showing me stuff from many Thanksgivings years ago when I was in a different place with my son than where we are right now. And I just love the holidays and I love Thanksgiving and I love, it's like, oh, we get a break. But what I remember when my son was having his biggest challenges was that I would have that, ooh, happiness, we're going to get a break. And then the reality was that we would get less services during that break. And it put a great deal of stress on me, and it was hard for him because the starting and the stopping, we all know about consistency. So I put together 10, but it's really more like 13 things to do during holiday breaks when your kids have less services. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're live right now, as I said, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Our fabulous Chris Desmond is already showing you some of the different ways that you can connect with us. We love it when you write in during the live show. We know that the vast majority of you, though, are going to be listening in podcasts later on. That tends to be how this audience likes to connect with us. We love that. Don't feel like you got to do anything different, but feel free to download the podcast. We love it when you subscribe. That's a wonderful thing. And when you listen in podcasts, you will hear advertisements. I hope you'll embrace those and go, woohoo, these people made it free for me. If that's not the feeling that you have and you're like, I really want to get this ad free, you can. It does cost a little bit because there is a cost every time you download. So for $5 a month, you can download everything that we do here at the Autism Network for just $5 a month, and you get it ad free. You can do that by going to glow.fm/autismlive. That's how you do that. It's $5 a month. You get everything that we do. Autism Journey with Elijah. Good morning. Happy Turkey Week to you too. I love this week. I really do. But I do remember when there were times when it kicked my keister. It really did, because I would go, oh, I can't wait to have a break. And my son needs a break. And then I would discover that no, that wasn't really what he would need, because all of a sudden, when the services went away, he was a little bit like, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to do it, and he needed entertainment and he needed interaction, and at a level that made me tired. Right? So I'm just being real here. So I feel for all of you who are feeling that pinch of, oh no, what if I have something go on and, everybody's on break, right? So I've given you 10, but really 13 things to do during holiday breaks, and really much more than 13 things, because we're going to go through this. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And they say we're on fall break. Eli is calm, and I'm the crazy one, LOL. I'm just going to guess that you are busy saving the world while cooking dinner for 35 people and trying to do it all, right? Well, part of this may be helpful for you too. Because sometimes we think we have to do way more than we really have to do. I'm guilty as charged of doing exactly that. But let's launch in. I want to go through them quickly to give you an overview, and then I'm going to go back and delve in. Because here's one of the other things is that sometimes people will say, well, that's for little kids, or, oh, that's for older kids, or, oh, that's for kids who have more ability to do things than my kiddo can do. I really believe that almost all of these we could do a wide variety of things that it would fall under. And when I do the long explanation, I'm going to go through that. Okay, but hopefully this will spark some of you, your imagination of things that you can be doing. So let's go ahead and launch in, Chris. So first rule, and did I say this might apply to you, is keep it simple. And I have the dad kissing the baby because it's the kiss, keep it simple, silly, right? Is that sometimes we make it too complicated. I am doing that right now, keep making it way too complicated. I said that I was going to make Thanksgiving dinner. It was just going to be the easy stuff, just the basics. But then it's my husband's birthday the day before, so I've decided to make 2 different kinds of lasagna the day before Thanksgiving. Take my own advice. Keep it simple, right? Right? Because we tend to do this. Enough is enough is enough. And there is a saying, sufficient unto the day, and that we don't have to do everything in every day, nor do we have to eat all the Thanksgiving things in one day. The truth of the matter is that you can eat Thanksgiving, but if you forget and you didn't get the pecan pie, you can get a pecan pie on Saturday. No one is going to arrest you for that. Right? So keep it simple. Keep it simple. I'm saying this to myself as well. Okay, but then let's go right ahead. So number one thing to do when you got free time, go to the park, right? Lots of things to do at the park. Let's look at number 2. Do an art project. And we've got lots of ideas for art projects for you. Number 3, do a science experiment. So much fun. Number 4, make pretend. And there's so many different ways to do that. Number 5, visit first responders, but please call first. We'll talk more about that in a second. Number 6, volunteer. This is good for our kiddos of all ages. Number 7, shop. Ooh, I'm going to fill you in on this, but it's good for our kiddos. Number 8, play a game. Oh, I've got so many games in the toy guide. Number 9, get physical. It's that Olivia Newton-John song. We should all be doing that. Number 10, cook something. Number 11, go to the public library. Number 12, read together. So there's your 12, and the 13 was keeping it simple. So I love that. And Autism Journey with Elijah says, our family starts off with 10 people, and somehow it ends up 25. I knew it. Did I say? How many people did I say you were going to be cooking for? Yes, we're doing a live on Thanksgiving, actually this. I love it. Craft, no bake cookie, read a book, and chat. That's our live. Can't wait. Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. I know I had considered, this is my keep it simple, because I considered going live as I was stuffing the turkey, because I talked about how I cook the turkey, and I was like, I could really have Jem help me, and we could do a live from the kitchen. And then I went, Shannon, keep it simple. like nobody needs to see how you cook a turkey on Thanksgiving. But I love that you're going to do it. See, I don't have to do it because you're going to do it. You're going to be doing the craft, no bake cookie, read a book, and chat. That's our live. That's amazing. That's absolutely wonderful. So spectacular. I'll have to tune into that. So let's go back through and talk about some of these things and really delve in. So I really believe in the sufficient onto the day. We used to have an expert come on the show from time to time that she writes for a lot of the like Shape magazine and those kinds of magazines. And she's the one who really drilled into me the sufficient onto the day, because during breaks, she was like, we plan so much. And she said, it's really better to do one thing every day. You fill it in with all kinds of other things that, of course we want to lay around and watch a movie and we're going to eat 3 meals, right? But one thing per day, one activity is enough. That if you're saying, okay, we're gonna go to the ice skating rink, let's say, I'm thinking Hallmark movie, we're going to the ice skating rink today, then you don't plan the museum visit for that day too, because that's too much and we get overloaded, all of us. So one extra thing per day. Hi Sando, so thrilled that you're here. So let's go through. We're gonna keep it simple though. Let's go through and start with number 1. You can go to the park. This is a wonderful breakup in the day. It gives fresh air plus that vitamin D, right? Gives your child an opportunity to socialize. And sometimes in our busy days, especially when there's all those therapies, we don't have time to go to the park. And we really want to get to the park whenever we can, because it's so good for our kiddos. Sometimes you can't plan a play date, but you go to the park and there are other kids there. Is it perfect? No. Because sometimes the kiddo doesn't want to play the way your kiddo wants to play. Toys get stolen or whatever. But the actual act of going to the park and just walking around the park would be enough. I love that this picture shows the mom having a moment sitting with the daughter on the bench. That's wonderful. Swinging is great. It's this vestibular activity that helps calm children, right? Going up the ladder to go down the slide, good for our kiddos. They're using their big muscles. We have parks here in Los Angeles that I love, that they have like a circuit training thing where they have machines that are, they're not machines, but they are machines. There's no electricity involved, right? That they have like the walking thing that you can go on. They have them all over the place. And they're sort of numbered, and you can do all the little exercises like going to a mini gym. I absolutely love it. So go to the park. If you know that there are things that set you off or set your kiddo off at the park, take precautions ahead of time to help yourself, right? It's the Elian Vincent thing. Save yourself. If you know that your child has a hard time sharing their toys, maybe you don't take the toys with you. Maybe you just go and you play whatever. If your child has a hard time taking other toys away, you steer away from the place where kids bring toys, which is the sand pit, right? And you say, we're going to go do this today. But even just the walking to the park, if you walk to the park and then you come back, maybe that's enough. Maybe you go to the park and you have an agenda with little kids. You say, okay, we want to see if we can catch 5 leaves that we can bring home for our collection. And then you make it harder the next day and say, we want 1 red leaf, we want 2 yellow ones, we want 1 green leaf. You know what I mean? There's so many things that you can do at the park. Take chalk. Do a hopscotch thing, right? You're learning numbers. But it gets them out. It gets them thinking of the world in a different way. It provides all that excitement. I don't know too many kids who don't enjoy going to the park. But even if you had a kiddo who doesn't love going to the park, like I said, walk to the park, walk back. You did something. It's enough. We're keeping it simple, right? But if your kids love the park, Jem used to love it if we would pack a picnic lunch. And then he would get all involved in that. Like, what are we going to take? What are the things? How are we going to wrap it up? What are we going to carry it in? He loved that. And then we would go sit on a blanket, eat the picnic lunch, and come home. I don't know why he loved that, but he absolutely loved that. So go to the park. There are parks everywhere. I hope there's one within walking distance, but if there isn't, you drive, right? But the park is fun, and it breaks up the day. Autism Journey with Elijah says, yes, for us being so hot here all year long, the cool weather is very welcoming. We love the park a lot in the cool temps. Absolutely. And Autism Journey with Elijah says, I've learned a big lesson. If your child is an eloper, bring 2 people. It's easier and safer. I did that once, and that was the end of that one. Yeah. If you have a child who is an eloper, you have absolutely, I'm glad you brought that up. You have to take every single precaution that you can. Having 2 people is really helpful. When my son was little, I am one of the people who had one of the backpacks with a leash, because that was the only way that we could do it safe. Did we get lots of comments and people were like, oh, you got your child on a leash like a dog? And of course I was warming up my middle fingers for those people, because you have to do what it takes to keep your child safe. And that's it, right? So being mindful of that, thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes there were times when I didn't go to the park because I was afraid of elopement, and we worked on it though, but we had to work on it in a safe way. And he had like a Chewbacca backpack that just had a leash on it. You know, people get over it. It wasn't like he was on a leash forever. It was literally a way to keep him safe until he understood that he could not run in front of cars. Weren't trying to stigmatize him at all, but I know people were like blah, 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 about it. You know, you got to do what you got to do to keep your child safe. For me, it's the same. There are people who say, oh, why do you have a life preserver on your child? They're never going to learn how to swim. And it's like, just step back. We're trying to stay safe and not drown. Give us a minute, right? We'll get there. People are so judgy. All right. But going to the park, a really fabulous thing. Now, if you want to do an advanced version of this, you can certainly ask another parent to meet you there and have a play date at the park, right? Even for our older kids, walking to the park is a really good activity to do. You can play a game while you're there about playing I Spy, whatever, but there's really no age range that can't benefit from going to the park, right? And then it just becomes a sliding scale of what age are we, what kinds of things are we working on. There was one park that we would go to that all the kids there loved to play. The floor, there was a big play structure, and even the teenagers loved to go and play the game The Floor is Lava. That you the sand around the big structure was the lava, and they had to do all of these things, and really, really, really fun game. Okay, Lucy says, Dear Shannon, for this Thanksgiving, I wanted to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for the immense support and mentorship you've given me through all your videos, your book. You're going to make me cry. Stop now. And the Autism Live show and the shows with Dr. Granpeesheh. Your guidance and parent-to-parent information has made such a significant difference in my child's life. Your support has increased our quality of life as a family, and I'm truly thankful for the time and effort you've invested. This is just like the letter of a lifetime. And helping so many families and children with your media presence and sharing such valuable information, including your own testimony. Your reach extends beyond to so many of us who have felt lost, hopeless, and without answers on how to help our children. You've been my unwavering light in this fight, and for many of us, including me, you are our North Star. Oh my goodness. You've taught me so much, not just about autism, but about various therapies and strategies to help my child learn valuable life skills. Your frequent encouragement and parent in the trenches perspective have been incredibly motivating, and my child and our family wouldn't be where we are today without your help. Thank you for such an inspiring mentor and for always being there to offer advice. Share your knowledge and cheer us on. I deeply appreciate everything you've done for us, and I'll carry your lessons with me always from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I wish you and your family a wonderful Thanksgiving. I am so verklempt. Thank you so much. That is so sweet. And I wish you the very best Thanksgiving. And I think if you guys understood that I could not do this without you, that you are so much a part of the conversation. And listen, there are days when things pull Dr. Granpeesheh and I away, and then we come back because of you guys. Because of you guys. So, and I love that you said you're going to carry it forward. That means so much to me. Years ago when I met Logan's parents, and I know, they saved our lives. And I remember saying to her, what will I ever do to repay you? And she said to me, you know, you won't, that's not how we do it in this community. You'll pay it forward. And that's the whole reason why I'm here doing this show, because I told her I was going to pay it forward. So I love that you have now what you've learned and what you've taken from here, and that you're going to take that and go forward. So I absolutely love that. Oh, look, you guys, you're killing me. Making me sob here. Autism Journey with Elijah says, replying to Lucy, she's been a blessing to us as well. She's a gem, and so appreciate. What are you doing to my ego today, you guys? No one could ever compete. She is the best of the best. We applaud you, Shannon. I don't know. I love what you're doing over there, Autism Journey with Elijah. You're moving and shaking. We always talk about that, Dr. Grampy and I. But Lucy, thank you for the blue hearts. Wonderful. Okay, back to what we're doing today. So go to the park. Enjoy going to the park. Take your teens to the park. It's, you know, you can just walk around. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. That's what the parks are there for. So, okay, number 2, do an art project. I love this, and I know that sometimes it can get so messy, but my son knows. I was painting a sign. I was painting this Nutcracker sign in our house the other day, and my son said to me, he goes, "Do you want me to get out the paper bags?" That whenever we happen to go to the grocery store and we don't have our bags with us, our recycling bags, I'm so bad. I forget to put them back in the car, or I just go to the store and I wasn't going to get more than 2 things, but you know how that goes, right? So we have all these paper bags that need to be recycled, and what we do is we cut or tear them open, and it becomes the thing that covers the whole table, and then you can do almost anything on it, or it can be the surface that you decorate. I just loved that my 21-year-old son saw me painting, and he was like, "Do you want me to get the paper bags?" So you don't have to go buy paper if you don't want to, because you've got the paper bags. The other thing that I really love for paper and making big, huge things on the wall is taking cheap wrapping paper and using the back side of it, which is white. The cheap wrapping paper doesn't have the grid on the back of it, right? The good wrapping paper has the grid, and it's not as useful for art projects, although we did that too. So many different things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be all art products. One of the things that we like to do with very young children is to take something like applesauce or pudding, and you put it on their hands, and now they can be finger painting and creating all this stuff, right? But if they happen to get it in their mouth, it's not the worst thing in the world. For older kids, we want to be careful because then we're sending the mixed message about some stuff you can lick off your hands and some stuff you can't, right? But it's about to be Black Friday, y'all, and art stuff is on sale for Black Friday, whether it's the Sharpie pens or, crayons or paints or whatever, it's all on sale. I always like to, during Black Friday, go someplace on Amazon. They were sending me notices yesterday that they had these art kits that were, I want to say 60% off. They were $7 and had everything in it. Had watercolors, had paints, had pencils, everything, pastels that you could possibly need in this one art kit for $7 that will last a year, right? I love to give those as gifts to kids that I know, because then you've always got art supplies. Autism Journey with Elijah says that Hobby Lobby, Michaels, and Amazon have amazing sales going on during this Black Friday. So I always encourage you, get some art stuff, but you'd be surprised. You have stuff around the house too. I like to keep, at one point when Jem was little, I just had one of those plastic tote bins, and anytime I found art supplies on sale, I would just put them in there, and then we would do all kinds of things. Because, you can buy the cheap crayons, and you can melt them down and make all the things you can make, right? I encourage you to check out Pinterest. But by the way, this is not just for our younger kids. I really encourage this with our kids that are a little bit older, because an art project is something that helps them to decompress. And there are so many different things. Think about what your child enjoys sensory-wise. That, whether it's air dry clay Or, I like making my mugs. I like going to the pottery studio for that. And I know some of our kiddos that are teenagers that love this, right? But so many different ways that you could take an art project, right? I especially want to recommend to everyone, I love the book, I believe it's Betty Edwards, that did Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. And I am so grateful that there was one summer with Jem, I want to say he was probably 9, 10, or 11, that he and I went through that book again together. I didn't have him read the whole thing, but we did all of the art exercises in that book. And what it helps you to understand is that the different sides of your brain perceive things in a different way, and it helps you to figure out how to use the different sides of your brain. One of the things that it does, it gives you a line drawing and it says, copy this upside down. And you realize when you have to do it upside down, you do a much more accurate copying of it because it shuts off the side of your brain that is interpreting it, and allows you to just be an artist. Ooh, good stuff. Good stuff. Also helps, I think, to reduce anxiety. It's called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. Very old book. There's some great drawing exercises in it that you can do with kiddos. You don't have to explain the whole brain science of it to them, but it's very good for them. Janet says, yes, I asked them to collect items on our nature walk for artwork. I love that. I absolutely love that because then you can incorporate it in whatever. Years ago when I was single and I was teaching at a college in upstate New York, I loved to go every day for a nature walk, and the leaves, oh my goodness. And the last year that I was there teaching, I knew that it was the last year that I was going to be there teaching, and I was going to be moving out to Los Angeles, and I was not going to have the fall leaves anymore. And you know what I did, and it was brilliant? I collected a whole bunch of leaves in different colors, and I took them to the local, Xerox place, and I laid them on the Xerox thing, and I printed them. For years, I used it as wrapping paper because it was so beautiful. And I made so many of them and kept them. When Jem was little, we would cut them out and we put them all over the place. Such a good time. So yes, collecting the artwork. There's also there's a kind of tree that makes a little pine cone that's round. Jem loved them. We would go around and collect those. It's a good time. You're outdoors and then use them for art projects. Have you guys seen the pictures that the guy does of the acorn people? Oh, they're so good. He makes people out of acorns and have them holding things. They're like little fairy people. I love it. Oh, you know what else I love for art projects? When you go to Michael's and get the little houses and you turn them into fairy houses. Love that. And then years ago when my niece came to visit, have you done the thing where you do the footprints to make the Disney princesses? Oh, you paint parts of their foot, you put them on the paper, and there are certain things you do to it to turn into the Disney princess. Pinterest, my friends, go on Pinterest, be inspired. Yes, lovely memories, Janet. I absolutely love that. Oh, I see. I missed one before. Also, your local Buy Nothing groups on FB have been a blessing. You'd be surprised how many neighbors are willing to help. Love that, to get art supplies. I know I have art supplies I need to donate to somebody. And Autism Journey with Elijah says, yes, they're super, super cute. I think you're talking about the footprints, the Disney princess footprints. Okay, moving on. So art projects, wonderful. Just make sure that whatever it is, the cleanup for you is quick. I love putting the newspaper or the brown paper bags down because you just make whatever mess it is and then you roll the whole thing up and shove it in the trash. Woohoo! We're done with that cleanup. And have your kiddos help with that cleanup too. I always made that super fun. Like, how quick can we do this? Can we have it all cleaned up and it all put away in 30 seconds? It's a good time. All right, number 3, do a science experiment. Okay, this I really, really love. I geek out on this, right? There are so many cool things you do. Of course, again, go to Pinterest and see. I love the ones where, it can be an art project too. I love where they do the shaving cream with the paint and it makes the swirls on paper. and they explain why it does that? Or have you done the one with milk and you put a little bit of dish soap in it and you put food colors in it and it does this whole thing? There's a whole explanation about the polymers. It'll explain it when you go on Pinterest. There are so many science projects that you can do with your kiddos. As simple as taking a flower and putting it in water and putting food coloring in the water and then watching over a couple of days to see the flower turn colors. I mean, there's really good stuff. Oh, I love this. My son is getting a volcano experiment with lava that will be exciting for me. I might need one too, LOL. Yes, have a really good time. And if you're not sure, they have kits that come with all the stuff that are super easy, but you can go on Pinterest and just put science experiments for and put your child's age or age ability in there. And there are just, I love to watch the videos on the reels about different science experiments that you can do with yourself or your kiddo. Excuse me, good times, good times. And I picked this picture because look how excited the kids are when they're doing this. It's fun. I do think investing in a simple pair of eye goggles really super important to make sure that whatever you're doing for science is helpful. I also like to make sure that when you look up on Pinterest, they'll talk about what the science experiment is, and then a lot of times they'll give you questions to ask. Things like, so what happened? And it may be that your child doesn't even have the vocal ability to answer that question, but still to say, oh, what happened? Did it go fizz? Did it go big? Look, even a bottle of soda and the Mentos to make the elephant toothpaste, it's a good time, my friends. It's a very good time. And I'll tell you something, I didn't put it on this list, but making a YouTube video is also a very fun thing to do, and you can do that with any of the things on the list. Like do the art project and make a YouTube video of it, or do the science experiment and make a YouTube video of it, because sometimes that's the things that will get your child excited about it. Okay, number 4, make pretend. Okay, so this is so wide open, and you can do this anywhere. You say to me, but I'm at my mother-in-law's house, right? You can make pretend absolutely anywhere. It's my favorite thing to do with all kids. I was that aunt that was this way with all of my nieces and nephews before. Whenever I would be someplace with them and be caught out without something to do, because, you know, having kids sit with nothing to do is a recipe for disaster. Right? So I have my nieces and nephews who are now in their 40s will tell you that I used to, if we were sitting around doing nothing, I would say, hey, let's take a drive around the block. And they'd be like, what? And I'd say, let's take the green car. There was no green car. And they would be like, well, I don't see the green car. And I would go out and I would pretend to open the car door and I'd go, get in. And they would stand there and say to me, there's no car here. And I was like, I see the car. And then I would get in and I would turn the engine on, and eventually they would all get in the front. They were like, I get the front seat, and we would jog around the block. If I had asked them to jog around the block, we would never have done that. But we would drive around the block in the pretend green car, and I would honk the horn, and I would give them an opportunity to drive. The things you can do when you pretend, right? It's endless. So I love, you know, this picture with the child with the colander on the head, and they're they're drumming. I don't know what we're off to do, but we think we have to spend money to engage our children. We don't. I used to be at Sam's Club, and I would have the big cart, and I don't know, we were in a fishing phase where Jem in his speech class, he had the little fishing pole with the magnetic fish, and he loved it, right? So I'd put him on the cart for Sam's Club, and I would say, pretend. And this is good for our kiddos because they don't know how to do it. So if we model it for them and we teach it to them, all of a sudden they go, oh, there are no rules here. So he would sit on the Sam's Club flatbed thing while we were shopping, and he would sit crisscross applesauce with his pretend fishing pole, and he would pretend to fish and catch fish. And anytime he would catch a fish, we'd make a big deal of it. It made the shopping go faster. It prevented him from eloping in the store, right? And he was engaged, and we were building that creativity muscle. Ooh, that's good to do, right? But we can do this with kids of any age. You know, during the pandemic, one of the first things I did was I wrote a thing of 101 things to do with your children at home, because we didn't know how long we were going to be home, right? It exists. If you just put in Shannon Penrod and 101 things to do at home, it'll probably come up. We did a blog with it. It's in the back of my book. I don't know if all the links still work, because you could do a museum tour, right? But a lot of it was this: make pretend. Like, you can play beauty parlor in your house, and your child can be the person who's pretend getting their hair done, or they could pretend doing your hair, right? We can do pretend school, and they can be the teacher. We could do pretend we're going to Disneyland. You want your child says, I want to be on a roller coaster. There are videos that you can put on YouTube. Put your child in the laundry basket, and you set them on the coffee table, and you make it go like this, and we're pretending we're on the roller coaster. Pretend, pretend, pretend. But guess what else? You can do this with teenagers and adults too. There are times when my son, that we've said, oh, let's pretend we're British. And so we go to a store and we say, we start talking in British accents and say, love, is this the one you wanted? I don't know. Should we do that? And try to see if we can convince somebody that we're British. It's hilarious. You can pretend all the time, and it's a good time. I love that Autism Journey with Elijah says, pretend is a huge thing for us. My son explores everything, and his imagination has increased to me asking questions. I love it. Janet says, yes, sadly, kids are harder to get motivated to play games that don't involve their devices, but it's important. But I'll tell you something, if we do this even just a little bit, they crave it. They crave it. They're like, what are we doing now, right? And sometimes it's hard for us because we're like, I'm constantly reinventing the world. But there are so many different ways that we can pretend and play. I am someone who does not tolerate being bored. I just have a very low threshold for being bored. So I think it makes me go more to this because I just can't stand being bored. But I also want to say that I think our kids can't stand being bored either. So if you teach them a little bit, then they'll teach you a little bit. And then, you got all kinds of things going on. Autism Journey with Elijah. I'm rolling British. That's a new one. I'm going to try that one. Oh, whenever we would travel, we would do that all the time and pretend. At one point, my son took a dialect class so that he could learn all these new dialects that I'm not good at. My husband is very good at dialects too, so sometimes he'll play along with us too. He's much better at dialects than I am. But so many different ways that you can pretend. How about just role playing with your child? And I love some of the games that are out, and we've got one that's in the toy guide that's called Snake Oil. But I love. There's another one. There's a video game called You Don't Know Jack, and I have to ask my son what the other one is, where you have to pretend that you are selling, and that's what Snake Oil is. The game, you have to pretend that you're selling this product that's made up product, and you have to pitch it to people. And I just think it's a brilliant way to pretend and play that helps our kids to be ready for employment. So just like playing pretend beauty parlor or pretend grocery store or whatever, you can do it in your house, you can do it out in the world, pretend, right? It's a good time. Makes for a very fun day. All right, number 5. Oh, I love this one. I think that no matter what age your child is, that a yearly visit to your local first responders is a really wonderful thing to do. But you got to call first. Because even if you call first, sometimes they'll say to you, yes, you can come by at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, but if we're having an emergency, we're going to tell you no at the door. So you have to be prepared for that, right? But we went to our fire department. We went to our police station. I we've visited the hospital, right? There are all these wonderful things that you can do, and they love it. They absolutely love it. And especially if you tell them, my child is on the autism spectrum, and we want them to not be afraid of first responders, so we'd like to drop by sometime this week, and you bring a bundt cake or something, they will love it. And your child, bring your camera, because you'll get to take all the pictures. Your child will get to wear the fire hat and the thing and sit up in the cab of the fire truck unless there's a fire, in which case they'll say, we're so sorry, can you come back on another day? But listen, they love it, because a lot of times they're sitting and waiting for something, and to meet a member of the community and for you to know that your child is not afraid of a fireman. Whoo, this is good stuff, you guys. Really, really good stuff. And like I said, I took pictures of everything, and then we would talk about that when he was little, about, who are these people? Are they the good guys? Whatever. We also went to the police station, and one of the things that I had him do at the police station is ask to see their badge, and then ask to feel the weight of it, because now there are some horrible people who dress up in police uniforms, and it's not good. So one of the things that your child should learn is, if a police officer comes up to them, to ask to see their badge and to feel the weight of it, because fake badges aren't heavy and real badges are. So what this also does is helps the first responders to get to know your child. Listen, in the absolute worst case scenario, if your child ever went missing, how helpful would it be for some of these people to know you and know your child? Let's hedge our bets and get our children ready for the world, and have them like and understand first responders, and have first responders like and understand them. Ooh, it's a good thing. Autism Journey with Elijah says, our community just had an event with our local police department. The autism community got together and ate pizza with the police. I love this. It was amazing. We also filled out information about our son having autism. They have everything they need, and we had a blast. Fantastic. I love it. Janet says, that's a great idea. I will put this on my list. It really is. And it's great during the holidays. And listen, bring the treat for them. These are good people doing hard jobs, right? I can't imagine. They appreciate it, and it's a wonderful thing. So that's number 5. Number 6, volunteer. This is a wonderful thing, and I know people will say to me, oh, my child's too young, or my child doesn't have the skills to do this. You just haven't found the right place to volunteer. There's the mom that I used to know that her child, when he was 5, used to go to the local animal shelter every week, and he would sit and read to the dogs. Sit there and read a story to the dogs. How amazing is that? It helped him with his reading. The dogs loved it, by the way. The shelter people loved it. He got to know them. Wonderful, wonderful things. She moved away, so I don't know when but I'll bet you anything he's probably 18 now, probably working at the dog shelter full time. Do you know? It's important to teach our children to give back. Now, it may be that volunteering has to start at home, that maybe you say, okay, this week we have a project. It could be an art project, it could be something else. You get a shoebox and you say, we're going to send this to somebody, right? Even if you have a hard time finding a volunteer place, I don't know what the restrictions are like now, but I think they're pretty good, that you can put something together, like, a box of candy canes, and go visit a senior center and walk around and have your child give them to all of the people in the senior citizens in the home. It will fill them with the holiday spirit. It'll make your child feel like they've done something important. You praise them for it. It's important. We have segments of our society that are, overlooked and underappreciated. Every Thanksgiving, we know first thing, a lot of times my husband works, and my son and I get up and we bake 2 huge things of the corn, it's scalloped corn, but it's like corn pudding. That was my mother's favorite thing to make for people. We make 2 huge vats of it, and we take it to Gobble Gobble Give, And, it's a way that we are volunteering our time. So make sure that you teach your child from a very young age volunteering, because it's a really important thing. Autism Journey with Elijah says, we volunteer at the shelters and food kitchens. You're amazing. We donate gifts and medical supplies. It's so nice. Eli loves it so much each year for Thanksgiving. We also go out and feed homeless families also on Christmas too. It's a fun time. I love that. I love that. Oh, the other thing I forgot is that Gobble Gobble Give, they ask that you bring, I gotta get this together too, bags that have toothbrushes and toothpaste and socks and things of that nature to give to the homeless. And my son, whenever we go to a hotel, he's like, I'm taking all the things so that we can give it to Gobble Gobble Give. I love that. She says, in fact, we're making homemade chicken pot pies and sides with a bottle of water. This week we'll be live doing it. I can't wait to see that. I think that's amazing. And that you're teaching Eli all these wonderful things about giving back, and that it's not just about me. And part of why that's good for our kiddos is that it teaches perspective taking. That I am having this experience, but somebody over here is having this experience. I need this, they need that. That is a social skill and helps them to, build that connection. So it's wonderful, 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 wonderful. All right, let's move on to number 7. We're running out of time. Shop. Okay, I know some people are like, oh, shopping with my child. Let me stop and say that, don't have it be that you're shopping when you absolutely have to have the thing, right? I'm talking about setting a completely different day and time, and you take your child shopping. Now, I used to love it when we had toy stores, because I would take him, I would put him in the cart, and we would shop at the toy store. And I would put something in the cart, he would play with it, and if he played with it for a long time, that might be a toy that went on the list of things that we needed to have somewhere down the line, right? But typically our kids play with something and then they're done with it, right? And you go, right, okay, that toy goes back. But as my child got older, it became, well, that's not even entirely true. Even when he was younger, I would take him sometimes to the grocery store, and we would do like a treasure hunt in the grocery store. Okay, here are the things that we have to find. We have to find 3 green vegetables, right? And we have to find, 1 type of macaroni, and you have to go through and be able to find these things. He was pretty young when we started to do that. And I kept it we were, emphasizing eating the rainbow. So we have to find 3 green vegetables, and we have to find 1 red fruit and 1 orange thing, and, because we're working on colors. That's one way to go shopping, but then later on when our kids are older, it's comparison shopping. So you're like, okay, we need to get a pasta, and here's the kind of pasta that we need, and there's 2 different, so which one should we get? And they do a whole cost comparison of, well, this one is, and they learn how to read the little labels. I didn't even know how to do this. Card taught him how to do this, where it tells you what the cost is per ounce on that little thing that's on the shelf. I didn't even know that, but he learned how to comparison shop. It's important. And then having them practice at whatever age, when you're learning money, as soon as they learn money, having them pay for something and get their change back, huge, huge. Even if you walk down to the corner grocery and do that once a week, so good for our kiddos. And then when they're old enough, you get the bank account and you help them to learn. Listen, Jem learned this faster than I did. I still have checks that I have not deposited. And he's like, why don't you just take a picture of them and deposit it on your phone? And I'm like, I'm still remedial at that. But he's been doing that for years. But so they have their debit card, right? And they learn how to use it to pay for something, and use it to take money out, and use it to order a Lyft or an Uber. That's for our older kids, right? We're not doing that with 6-year-olds. But you start by having them pay the 10 cents for whatever it is that they're buying. Autism Journey with Elijah says, yesterday we were in Walmart. Eli was having a huge meltdown. People would look. I kept my composure the whole time, about an hour. He didn't hurt anyone or anything. We walked out. I felt good. Didn't bring attention to them, just focused on my son. He calmed down on the way out, and I'm thinking it was too crowded. my point, be cautious at what time you shop. It matters, at least for us. Oh my gosh. Great, great point. Where did I go the other day? I'm trying to think what store I was in with Jem, and I walked out and I said, let's make a deal. It was Trader Joe's. And I said, let's make a deal that we are not going to any grocery stores between now and Thanksgiving unless it's very early in the morning or right before they're closing at night, because I can't deal with it. Yesterday I was going to go to Costco and I went, what am I thinking? It's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I'm going to try to go right before they close tonight. And that might mean that I don't get some things, but I can't handle it, you guys. It's too many people. It's way too much. So imagine what it's like for some of our kiddos. So really good point. Thank you so much. Pick your time to go. And Black Friday, I would, unless your kiddo already is very attuned to Black Friday, I would tell you don't take them. You can do all your Black Friday shopping online now too. You don't have to go in the store. I am one of those parents that used to take my child to Black Friday shopping. It's terrible. But Jem was different in that it took me a long time to realize this. Sensory-wise, he was fine in the moment. You could be in the loudest place in the world and he was totally fine. It would be when you got to the quiet that he would freak completely out. And it took me forever to realize that the two were related. That he wasn't freaking out at the quiet, he was freaking out at the change and the having gone from this to quiet. So good point. I know. She says Black Friday. Oh goodness, Shannon. No way. LOL. Yes, no. I used to take him with me to do, I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, I had no babysitter. So that's what I was thinking. Anyway, let's move on to number 8 because we're almost out of time. Play a game. And I know the point was made that it's hard to get our kiddos to play a game sometimes. But we've recommended games that have a really short setup and a short game time, because I think a lot of times we think of games like Monopoly where you might be there for hours, right? That's too much for our kids, at least to start, right? If you have to, start by playing a game online because they're interested in the screen, and then move to the board game if that's the way you have to do it. But make it super, super fun for them. I love it when we get really silly playing games. Everybody knows you come to my house, we're going to play a board game. Oh my gosh, over the years, I love when I'm talking to Rachel Bird because some of my favorite games I've given to her and now they're part of their family traditions, like playing Hasty Baker or Happy Salmon. Oh my goodness, Happy Salmon, one of my favorite card games for all of our kids because there's so many different ways to play it. It's very physical. There's a version that you play it that's nonverbal. Love it. It's not in this year's toy guide because it's been in subsequent years, but Happy Salmon, so wonderful. Janet says, yes, I love that some of the stores kept the drive-up service. I use that as much as possible. I know sometimes at Whole Foods and Target, I do that even though I can go in because it's just so much easier. You put your order in hours before, you pick it up, you're done. It's a wonderful thing. You're not hogging the comments. What are you talking about? Autism Journey with Elijah says, I know I've been hogging the comments, but here's another point. If you need to do something or go somewhere where you know it will be crowded or really a rush, please use respite. Absolutely. It will be much faster and peaceful. Absolutely. Where I live, I can still order and have stuff delivered. It's expensive. Like you end up paying a lot for it, but sometimes it's the thing to do, right? I wished I'd had that way back when. But going at the hours, absolutely. And using your using respite to be able to go shopping, absolutely. Because remember when I said don't be shopping when you absolutely have to get the thing, right? Save that for when you have respite and you go and you do your shopping so that you've got all your stuff. Jim and I started going to stores that were open 24 hours. We had one grocery store that was close to us that was open 24 hours. So one of us would go at midnight when we were in the thick of intervention because I could not take him to the grocery store at that point. It wasn't until he was doing better and we had somebody to go with us to the grocery store that we were able to do that. Janet, there were 2 games that I mentioned for older kids, the Hasty Baker, which is super fun. It's a card game where you're doing the ingredients to make things. Super fun. But the other one is called Happy Salmon, and I always want to do this. Happy Salmon is a card game, and you can play it with fairly young kids, and you can play it with older people. I get together with my nieces that I'm going to see in a couple of weeks, and we play Happy Salmon. When my one niece came to us from Colombia, she didn't have any English and like 4 words in Spanish. We had so much fun playing Happy Salmon because there is a non-verbal part of it. It's matching. It's just a simple card game. It's not very expensive. Happy Salmon. It's so much fun. Get ready for the hilarity. Really good time. Okay, moving on to number 9. But there's so many good games. Get physical. This is so important. If we don't have a way to get our yayas out, they get pent up. Have races, whether they're inside or outside. You can make an obstacle course in your living room on a rainy day or a hot day when you've got to be inside. I tell people, if all else fails, tell your kiddos we're going to move all of the furniture into the middle of the living room, and we're going to play The Floor is Lava, and then we're going to put all the furniture back when we're done, because that forces them to get physical, right? We used to do a thing where we would take turns running up and down the stairs, but be careful, don't trip and fall, right? But absolutely, it's critical that we get physical and that our kids get physical. Boy, did I learn that during the pandemic, that, when we were just in the house and we were not moving our bodies, the stress level and the cortisol and everything builds up. It's no bueno. Our kids need the opportunity to get physical. Okay, so on to number 10, cook something. And actually, you don't have to cook anything, but prepare food with your child, right? It could be as simple as making the ants on a log. Do you know what that is? That's the celery with the peanut butter with the raisins on top of it. But that works on the pincer grasp, right? But it also works on self-esteem and helps your child to make a snack for themselves. If you want simple things that are in the age range for your child, look it up on Pinterest and say, what are, 5 food crafts to be able to do with my child who's 5, right? They have special gloves that you can buy now so kids can be cutting and make sure that they don't cut themselves. Absolutely love that. But sometimes, especially with our older kids, ask them, what do they want to make? Man, Jem really got into that. He is so epicurious. And every week during the pandemic, we would order something that he was going to make with me that he got to choose. Like we made squid ink pasta. I don't need to do that again. And that was a trip to buy the squid ink in the little packets. I don't need to do that again, but he loved it. We did a cooking class during the pandemic that was for kids on the spectrum, that Jem was actually helping out with it, but where we made bagels online, and there were like 22 families, and we were seeing other people's kitchens and making bagels. It's a good time, but think about like what they would like and what you could include them in. We need to have all of our kids know a little bit more about nutrition and how to feed themselves. So cooking something or preparing something, really, really vital. Autism Journey with Elijah says during Eli's school classes, they have brain breaks. You can find them on your YouTube, and it's a movement game, multiple games. Eli loves them, and he looks forward to them. That's wonderful. So Google, you guys, on YouTube, search brain breaks. She says, we're making turkey legs, no-bake cookies. You need Rice Krispie treats, pretzels, and mini marshmallows. You glue the mini marshmallows to the pretzels and stick the pretzels into the Rice Krispie treat, creating like a turkey leg. I can't wait to see this. When are you doing this on Thursday? I want to tune in and see this. It sounds absolutely delightful. I love this kind of stuff. We did a thing once where we were doing an Oscar party, and so we had all these mini marshmallows. We were making cupcakes, and we had these mini marshmallows where if you just made a couple of cuts in them, they look like popcorn. and we covered the cupcakes with them. It was such a good time. Our kids love things like this, you guys. So cook something, prepare something, get your child involved in their nutrition in whatever way you can. Super duper important. And you can do this with very young children just by helping them to dump the flour into the bowl, right? Or dump whatever into the bowl, or starting to stir. Are they going to make a mess? Sure. But that's how we get to the point where they're not making the mess, right? All the way up through older kids. My mom had this thing that every child in the family had to know how to make one complete dinner so that when they went off into the world, there was at least one thing that they could cook, right? I think that that's important for all of our kids. Okay, on to number 11. We're out of time. Go to your local library, right? You can also go to the bookstore, but it's so much cheaper to go to the local library. Get them a library card. They love that. They can look at the books. They can check some books out. They have videos that they can check out. Sometimes they have a schedule at the library that they'll tell you that they have activities, like they have a Lego robotics group that's free to your child, or they have a magician who's coming on Tuesday, or whatever. It's a cultural hub, you guys. Check out your local library. Take your child. Have them pick the books they want, because you're not paying for them. You're just checking them out and bringing them back. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to go to the local library with your child. A great way to break up the day. And then number 12, obviously, I'm a big proponent of read together. I think that during the holiday, when things are just a little bit slower for you, the perfect opportunity every night to read with your child. Even if your child is 18 years old, sit and read something together silently and then discuss it and say, oh, what did you think about this? What do you think is going to happen? Whatever. It's good for your kiddos. And when you have little kids, reading directly to them and reading along with them at whatever pace they're at, so vital. So vital. And encourage them when they have the ability to read out loud. I think it's the single best confidence builder for your children, for them to be able to read and read out loud to share with other people. Brilliant. Autism Journey with Elijah says, our library has the librarian read a book and then a craft. It's like 2 hours for a small fee. Well worth it. Love that. Also want to tell you to check out, if you haven't already, Home Depot and Lowe's. On different Saturdays, they do a craft that your child can participate in. Sometimes you have to register. You show up. They put a little apron on your child. They get a pin when they completed the craft, or a patch. Each one is different. It's a good time. It's a craft project. Usually it's free. And don't forget the movie nights. They're so great too. Absolutely, you guys. So just some of the things. And remember what we said back at the beginning. Keep it simple. So are you going to sit and watch a movie with your kiddos? Yes. You're going to make popcorn? Yes. You're going to do all of those things. But these are just something extra every day. But don't try to do them all in one day. One thing per day. And if you need to, make a visual schedule for yourself. So on Tuesday, we're going to go to the library. And on Wednesday, I called ahead and we're going to go to the fire department. And maybe on Friday, we're going to the police station. And on Saturday, we're going to, bake cookies. Or, we're going to make the drumsticks, or whatever we're going to do. What time are you doing the drumsticks? I want to see them, Laurie. Okay, and Janet said, oh, yes, thank you for all the ideas and reminders. Thank you for being here. Autism Journey with Elijah says, yes, we do that the first Saturday of every month, and you can take home what you make. Absolutely. For those, I don't know whether it's Home Depot, because we don't do it anymore, but we used to do it. And it was like one of them was the first Saturday, and one of them was like the second Saturday, but we would do Lowe's and Home Depot. Late morning, I can tag you if you want us to. Yes, absolutely. I hope I'm not at Gobble Gobble Give then. But let's see, because I want to see you make the turkey legs. You're so ambitious to do a live on Thursday. All right, you guys, this is all the time that we have for today, but hopefully it gave you some wonderful ideas about what to do during holiday breaks so that you're not at the mercy of time on your hands with your kids doing nothing. and it'll help you to connect with your kiddo and have fun and enjoy the holiday. I also want to say, take your art projects and decorate your house for the holidays. That's a great thing to do too. But all right, we got to go. But I want to remind you that tomorrow is the Festival of Toys kickoff, and it's tomorrow and Wednesday where I'll be demoing some of our favorite toys from the toy guide. I hope that you will check it out, but do check out the toy guide as well. I wish you the best Thanksgiving as well, Autism Journey with Elijah. If we don't see each other, enjoy it. Well, hopefully I will get to see you on Thanksgiving at some point. I'll tell Jem to help me set a reminder since I can't figure out how to do that myself. Some things, they just get past me. But yes, happy Thanksgiving. If I don't see you, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I hope that we can all remember at least some of the things that we are grateful for. And I know I said this the other day, but I'm going to say it again. I'm so grateful for the fellowship that I have with those of you that watch and interact with me on the show. It is so meaningful to me. You have no idea. Thank you all for being here, and bless you and your wonderful, fabulous kiddos. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.